This video is sponsored by Call of Duty Mobile, link in the description. The Maddox is a brand new assault rifle inside of COD Mobile that you can get for free at tier 21 of the Season 2 2023 Battle Pass. That took me so many tries, man. There are so many twos in that. The upsides of the base Maddox are its fast fire rate, very high mobility stats, high base mag capacity, and reliable close to mid-range damage profile. However, the downsides of the base Maddox mostly relate to its ranged performance, which is because of a combination of its slightly below average bullet spread accuracy, jerky recoil after the 7th shot, as well as the fact that it does have a bullet velocity mechanic, meaning that bullets don't instantly hit your target, which a speed of 900 meters per second isn't really bad, but when combined with the other range issues that I mentioned, that travel time can become more problematic. In terms of the lethality stats of the Maddox, it actually is very similar to the Kilo 141, with the Maddox firing each bullet just 5 milliseconds faster, as well as having one more damage in the first range, but having one less in the last. But despite this slight damage differential, for each range, both of these weapons will have the same shots to kill. The damage multipliers are also different between the two guns, but the damage multipliers for each gun barely affect the performance. Specifically with the Maddox, besides the head, you will only get increased damage to the chest and the upper arms, which when combined with the poor range stats of the Maddox, makes it extremely rare to ever improve your time to kill through upper body shots. So it's almost always better to aim low with the Maddox and make sure that you're hitting your shots. The Maddox's ranges are also 7 to 8 meters shorter than the Kilos, although based on the build, you can easily push these ranges to be very similar to the Kilo. Overall, the base Maddox is just a more aggressive version of the Kilo in terms of the lethality, which now brings me to the most unique part of the Maddox, and that is the lethality. Nope, not the lethality, the attachments. First, there's no muzzle or foregrip attachments, which limits your ability to add recoil control as well as suppression options, which once again creates more ranged limitations. It also has barrels that drastically change the performance of the Maddox, so your barrel choice will act as the centerpiece of your Maddox build, and it should be your first attachment decision. So let's go ahead and go through the barrels. First is going to be the light muzzle brake barrel. With this, you're going to reduce your horizontal recoil by 20%, but you will be gaining 20% vertical recoil, which is a solid trade-off as this gun does have low vertical recoil, but it does have high horizontal shake. Next up is the flashguard barrel, and with this, you gain all of these buffs, but you do reduce your already not great bullet spread accuracy, which in my opinion is counterintuitive to the horizontal recoil buff, which is really the only stat buff that matters in my opinion with this attachment. Next up is the reinforced heavy barrel, and this one does reduce your ADS movement speed by 10%, but it increases your damage range and bullet velocity by 33%. In other words, it will make your bullets arrive on target 2.7 milliseconds faster per 10 meters, but with the subpar bullet spread accuracy and horizontal recoil already making your bullet placement fairly random, this buff will mostly go unnoticed. The real benefit of this attachment is mostly in increasing the 4-shot range of the Maddox by an extra 5.3 meters, but if you want to extend the 4-shot range with some more practical benefits, you may want to use the monolithic suppressor barrel. This attachment helps extend the Maddox's optimal use range, as well as reducing your vertical recoil by a little bit, and it is also the only way to suppress the gun. But the bullet speed and BSA reductions will make the range performance even worse as a trade-off. This attachment mostly fits a more aggressive flanking playstyle. And that's going to bring us to our final barrel, but it also is the most important one, and that is the Echo Fire mod. This attachment will essentially turn the Maddox into a 2-round burst AR, while also doubling the vertical recoil and almost completely removing the horizontal recoil. With the normal Maddox, when you hold down the fire button, you'll instantly fire the first bullet, and then you'll fire one every 83 milliseconds. Hence the 83 millisecond fire interval in the stats. But with the Echo Fire mod, when you press the fire button, the first bullet will fire instantly, and then 28 milliseconds later, a second bullet will fire. And if you continue holding the fire button, then your third bullet will come out 111 milliseconds later, and then your fourth 28 milliseconds after that, so on and so forth. Here is a side-by-side comparison of the time that it takes to fire different amounts of bullets with and without the Echo Fire mod. As you can tell, the time to kill always is faster with the Echo Fire mod, but with their vertical recoil increasing so much, it does take more skill to connect on your shots. Luckily, there's almost no horizontal recoil to worry about, as it just slowly moves to the right, which is not a problem at all. But the vertical recoil will catch you off guard at first, and from my experience though, it doesn't take too long to get used to it. It's also better to keep shooting if there's multiple opponents, because if you stop, the gun will start going down to recenter, which can be very annoying. The Echo Fire mod makes it so that if you're able to connect on your shots up to the second damage range of about 16 meters, meters, you'll be rewarded with a insanely fast 4-shot time to kill of 167 milliseconds, plus at about 1 millisecond per meter of distance because of the bullet velocity. You can still get this time to kill up to 30 meters as well, but with the lower arms getting in the way of the chest and the insane vertical recoil, bullet speed, and subpar BSA, it is extremely unlikely and should not be relied on at all. 9 times out of 10, it'll be better to aim low to hit more consistent shots. The best way to play with the Echo Fire mod is to stay in situations where you'll take gunfights within the first 2 damage ranges, which is up to about 16 meters or 17.6 meters with the long shot perk, but avoid ultra close face-to-face gunfights where you'll be facing fast-moving SMG players, which can be hard to connect on while ADSing, which also means that Sync FOV is a really good option with this gun because it allows you to stay ADS'd in these smaller spaces, but maintain good peripheral vision. And since you rarely will be using this barrel at longer ranges anyways, the downsides of FOV sync won't be as impactful. In hardpoint, for example, the ideal way to play with this is just outside of the hardpoint in positions such as here, here, or even here. That way you can obliterate enemies trying to enter in the hardpoint, but avoid taking longer range fights that you will have a disadvantage in. When playing like this, I also highly recommend Dead Silence as a blue perk, and I recommend pre-aiming corners as much as possible, while also aiming lower than you typically would to catch people sliding, which, as I've said, is totally fine with this gun's damage profile. So that's going to be it for the barrels. Now let's go ahead and talk about the other unique attachment slot, and that is the rear grips. First is the sturdy grip. This grip increases your overall control of the weapon for an ADS movement speed penalty. Despite this being the only way to reduce your vertical recoil if you have the Echo Fire mod, I don't recommend it, as I do believe that the best Echo Fire mod playstyle needs ADS movement speed, and horizontal recoil and hit flinch are non-issues. This attachment can be useful though if you want a little bit more control on a non-Echo Fire build. Next is going to be the fast grip, and with this you're going to reduce your ADS time by 20% and increase your sprint to fire delay by 15%. This is a great aggressive attachment as long as you make sure that you're sliding before you ADS so that you cancel your sprint to fire delay. You can watch this video here if you want to learn a little bit more about sprint to fire canceling. Next is going to be the lightweight grip, and with this you just don't want to use it with the Echo Fire mod. It's just don't. And I also don't believe that it's that useful with the base Maddox either, especially when we have other grips such as the hollow grip. With this grip, you increase almost all of your mobility stats for a bullet spread accuracy reduction, which if you're playing within the Maddox's ideal ranges isn't super problematic. I do like this grip with the Echo Fire mod to help me stay competitive with my mobility in those closer ranges. Next, we have 2 Task Force grips with identical category changes. Both of these will give you less horizontal recoil, flinch, and a faster ADS speed at the cost of some of your movement stats, essentially lending itself to a more ranged playstyle. And the Quick Draw version is just a more extreme version on the stat changes, and I wouldn't use either of these with the Echo Fire mod, but if you want the base version to be a little bit more versatile at mid-range, these can work. As for the rest of the attachments, they're all fairly cut and dry. For weapon perks, I think that the 2 practical ones are long shot to increase the gun's effective range, or disable since you aren't punished by hitting leg shots, and this can really help against fast moving SMG players. In terms of lasers, I think that the aim assist laser can be helpful for recovering some of the bullet spread accuracy, but especially in the higher ranks, it takes a lot of discipline to keep it from revealing your location. For your magazine selection, it really just depends on your personal preference. I mostly use the fast reload and just reload a ton. In my opinion, the base mag of 40 rounds is plenty for pretty much anything that you're going to be doing. For stocks, Agile is pretty much the only one that you should be using. The rest buff your sprint to fire, which, as I've said before, is pointless. Then obviously sights are sights. I do think the iron sights are plenty, but if you don't like them, you could go with a red dot or, God forbid, a tac scope.
Oh my God, bro. Oh,
when building the Maddox, you can either play to its strengths and make it dominant at holding close to mid-range angles, or you can build it with some more versatility if you do want an AR that has above average close range capabilities, but still is able to function moderately well up to about 30 or 40 meters. So overall, my number 1 Maddox build would be the Echo Fire mod for that insane 4-shot time to kill, the Agile stock to allow me to stay ADS without sacrificing much movement speed, fast reload to constantly stay reloaded, hollow grip for mobility stacking, and for the final attachment, it could be disable, long shot, aim assist laser, or even an optic if you really can't use the iron sights. Disable is great if you are constantly facing fast moving SMG players and do have a tough time facing them. Remember to aim for the crotch though. And if you don't want to use the Echo Fire mod and instead want to go with something a little bit closer to the Kilo, you can try one of these builds, either going with a aggressive stealth build or a maximum versatility build. And obviously you can change up the attachments from there if you do have any specific changes that you want to make after using either of them. Overall, I think that the Maddox does have a place in the meta for people that like playing in tighter spaces and are able to track fast-moving targets, or people that just want a more aggressive version of the Kilo. Definitely let me know what you guys think of the Maddox down below, as well as dropping a like and subscribing if you enjoyed. And with that being said, I will see you guys later. Peace.